Hi, grade class 7 students. Today I prepared one practical class from the chapter light and light chapter, mainly light chapter. There are so many practicals. So nowadays you cannot come to school, so very difficult to show all those practicals. Even though I try to do some activities, we can discuss some light practicals. Already you have studied lens, the image formation of lens, image formation of plane mirror, image formation of a concave lens and convex lens. So first we can discuss and I will show you how to find out the focal length of a given convex lens. So you can listen this activity or you can listen this practical. So if you are in the school, you supposed to do the practicals. There are so many practicals in physics and chemistry. So today we can start some of the practicals. First we can do light experiment, that is how to find out the focal length and image formation of a convex lens. Already you have studied the properties of image formed in a convex lens. So convex lens we will get a different size of image, depends upon the distance between object and lens. When the distance between object and the lens changes, the size of the image, sometimes it will be small, sometimes it will be big size. So position and size of the image we can find out. Also you have to remember how to find out the focal length of a given lens. So for that we have one formula is there. So 1 by f is equal to 1 by u plus 1 by v. You know u means the distance between object and lens. Then v is the distance between lens and the image. So by using meter scale, we can find out this object distance and image distance. Then we have to get a clear image. Then using this formula we can calculate the focal length of the given lens. Okay, now we can do the experiment. In this experiment, the main parts object or the source of light. Then there is a lens. You know, lens is a transparent object. Light can easily pass through it. So it is a transparent object and have two curved surface, and here there is a screen. You can see screen. Then first we can measure the distance between object and lens, that is called u. So here I measured from object to lens, the distance is 40 centimeter. Then by moving this screen, we have to get a clear image. Then we can measure the distance between lens and the screen, that is called image distance. So here object distance is 40 and image distance is 35 centimeter. So we can take the reading. Two reading is there, object distance and image distance. Object distance u is 40 centimeter, image distance in this case 35 centimeter. This is one of the case. Then by using the formula 1 by f is equal to 1 by u plus 1 by v. Using this formula we can find out the focal length of the given lens. So different lens have different focal length. Then you can see the properties of the image formed. Properties of the image. So this is the object, this is the image. So you can find out what type of image is formed. It is an inverted image. It is an inverted image. So object is, you know, the object is like this, image is just opposite size, that is called inverted. Inverted image is formed. Then by adjusting the distance between object and lens, then we will get different size, the image size will be different. So sometimes you will get a very small image, sometimes you will get a very big image. So while how to repeat this experiment, so we have to change the distance between distance between object and the lens. So first here it is 40 centimeter, then after that we have to change it to 50 centimeter, then try to get a clear image, then 60 centimeter, 70 centimeter, 80 centimeter. So like that we can repeat 4-5 times, then we'll get a clear image on the screen. So like that we can find out the image formed in a convex lens. Also we can write the properties of image formed in a convex lens. So it is an inverted image, that you have to remember. Then it is a real image. What do you mean by real image? The image we are getting on the screen, that is called, it is a real image. A real image, inverted image. Then size is, now it is little small size. Sometimes the size will be smaller, sometimes the size will be bigger. That will change, depends upon the distance between object and the lens. So here you can see, here this tabular column, you can find out how to find out the image formed in a plane mirror. So image formed in a convex lens. So already you have studied the properties of image formed in a convex lens. Now we can change the distance. So now we can change into, instead of 40 we can make 50 centimeter. 50 centimeter is the distance between object and the lens. Now it is 50 centimeter. The middle of the center of the lens to the object is called object distance. Now it is 50 centimeter. Now by moving this screen, we have to get a clear image. You can see now it is not clear. Now when it move back, see it is clear now. If it again, now it is not clear. So by moving this screen, we have to get a clear image. So now it is almost clear image. Now we can measure the distance between image and the lens. Now here it is 50 centimeter, here it is 82 centimeter. So the distance between lens and screen is 82 minus 50. So answer is 32 centimeter. So now you see, when the distance between object and the lens is more now. First case it was 40, now it is 50. So you see the size of the image. Now the image is smaller than first case. So when the distance between object and lens increases, size of the image also becomes smaller. So now you can see the size is smaller, inverted image, and it is a real image. So real image means the image we will get on the screen. So in this way we can repeat this experiment. How to repeat the experiment means, now we have to make it 60 centimeter. The distance between object and the lens is 60 centimeter, 70 centimeter, 80 centimeter. We can repeat once more, So we can change this one to 60 centimeter. See, now it is 60 centimeter. Now adjusting the screen, we will get a clear image. So now it is almost clear. So here it is around 90 centimeter. The image is 90 centimeter. So image distance is 90 minus 60, so 30 centimeter. So 3 times we calculated the distance between object and the image. First time we placed in object distance 40, then 50, then 60, then corresponding image distance we can find out. So now the size of the image is very small. It is a inverted image and it is a real image. Why it is a real image? Because now we are getting the image on the screen. That is why it is a real image. Now we can find out this. We can check this tabular column. First we discussed about the image formation in a convex lens. Now we can find out how to find out what are the properties of image formed in a concave lens. So this is a concave lens. You know the difference between concave lens and convex lens. In convex lens, the middle part is thick and end is thin. But in the case of concave lens, the middle part is thin and end sides are thick. So this is a concave lens. So we studied in a concave lens we will get virtual image. Wherever we place the object we will get a very small image, that is a virtual image. That image we will not get on a screen. Here you can see what type of image is formed in a concave lens. So already you have studied the properties of image formed in a concave lens. The image is virtual and always small in size and it is upright. It is upright. So these 3 properties. So here you can see object. Here it is a concave lens and here it is screen. When we place this one here anywhere, so we will not get the image on the screen. So we can say it is not a real image, it is a virtual image. Then how can we see the image? So we have to look through the concave lens, then we can see one small image. We can see small image through this concave lens. Then it is a upright, very small size. So this is the property of image formed in a concave lens. So this image is very small, so you may not see this image clearly because you are watching through this video only. If we are doing this experiment in the class, surely you can see this image, very small image we can see through the concave lens. So this is the image formed in a concave lens. So what are the difference between concave lens and convex lens? Both lenses are transparent because light can easily pass through it. Convex lens and concave lens, by touching we can understand which one is concave and which one is convex. This is a concave lens. Concave lens means the middle part is thin and ends are thick. Then here always we will get virtual image, upright image and very small image. So these are the properties of image formed on a concave lens. Convex lens first we discussed. In convex lens we will get different types of image. Lot of image will get. That is depends upon the distance between object and lens. So when the object distance changes, image distance also changes and will get clear image, and different size of the image will change depends upon the distance of the object. Then in convex lens we will get not upright, inverted image and real image. Real image means the image will get on a screen. So this is the experiment to find out the image formation of a concave lens. So you have to no need to confuse the difference between concave lens and convex lens. So here only one image is there. In concave lens only one image is there. Wherever we place the object, means this candle is the object, we will get always will get small image, upright image. So virtual image. That's all for concave lens. Now we can do another practical, image formation of plane mirror. That is one important topic, plane mirror. Here you can see the plane mirror. This is the source of light. So already we studied what are the properties of image formed in a plane mirror. So the image is formed behind the mirror. Always the image is formed behind the mirror, but that image we will not get on a screen. That is why it is a virtual image. So you can see the image of this candle light. So that is a virtual image because we can see the image through the plane mirror only. So behind, when we put one screen, we will not get on a screen. So it is a virtual image. Another property we studied, it is upright image. So already we studied upright. So image is like this, object also, object is like this, image also the same position that we can see. The image we can see through the plane mirror. So object and image is in the same way. It is not upright, it is upright, it is not inverted. It is not inverted. So you know what you mean by, what is the difference between upright and inverted. So suppose object is like this, image is also like this. That is called upright. When suppose object is like this, image is like this, that is called inverted. This inverted image we will get on a convex lens, but in the case of a plane mirror, always we will get a virtual image. Then another property we studied, the object distance is equal to image distance. Object distance is the distance between object and the plane mirror. Then when we look through this image, through this plane mirror, we can see the image behind the plane mirror. Here we can see the distance between object distance must be equal to image distance. Then another property, the size of the object is equal to size of the image. So size will not change in a plane mirror. So these are the properties of image formed in a plane mirror. So this is the experimental activity. So you can see the image of this candle light when we look through the plane mirror only. So we can discuss the properties once more. There are 5 properties. First property is, it is a virtual image. It is upright. The image is upright. Then object distance is equal to image distance. Then size of the object is equal to size of the image. Then one more property is there. It is laterally inverted. Laterally inverted means, suppose if you can clearly understand, if you stand in front of a plane mirror, then when you raise your right hand, then when we look the image, your right hand is raised, then in the image the raised hand will be left hand. So what is laterally inverted means, when we look through the cone plane mirror, the left side of the object change into right side, and the right side of the object will change into left side. So that is called laterally inverted. So you have to remember the 5 properties of image formed in a plane mirror. First one is virtual image, second one is upright image, third one is laterally inverted, fourth one is object size is equal to image size, then fifth one is object distance is equal to image distance. So these are the properties of image formed in a plane mirror. Now we can discuss another activity, the simple pendulum. This is called simple pendulum. This is a stand and this is a bob or one heavy mass. So this one is tied on a string, thin string, and we have to oscillate this bob or oscillate this mass. So when we oscillate, we can find out the time taken for one complete oscillation, or we can say time period of a simple pendulum. So how to do this activity or experiment? First we have to measure the length of the simple pendulum. So using this meter ruler, we can measure the distance, we can measure the length of the simple pendulum. Length of the simple pendulum means the center of the bob, to the rigid support. It is tied on a rigid support. So this is the length of the simple pendulum, not a full length. So center of the bob to the other end is tied on a rigid support. So first we can take, now it is very difficult to show this one because this stand is very small. So first we can make 20 centimeter length, 30 centimeter, 40 centimeter. So like that we can repeat the length. Then we have to oscillate. This bob oscillate to and fro motion, or we can say to and fro motion is called oscillatory motion. So we have to oscillate with one small amplitude. So amplitude means, so we can turn one side and we have to release it. So then what will happen? This bob move from this side to other side, again this side. So it is very difficult to find out the time period of one oscillation. So what we have to do means, we have to find out the time taken for 10 oscillation or 20 oscillation. Then we can find out the total time. We will get that divided by 10 or 20, we will get time taken for one oscillation. So what you mean by time period of a simple pendulum means the time taken for one complete oscillation. So if we calculate directly the time taken for one oscillation, it may not be accurate. So we have to oscillate minimum 10 or 20 times. Then from there we can find out time taken for one oscillation or time period of a simple pendulum. So here there is a stopwatch. When we start, so we can do this activity. So we have to hold in extreme this side and we have to release. That time we have to start stopwatch. Then we can count around 10 oscillation. From there we can calculate time period for a one oscillation. We can start So now the time taken is 11 seconds. So number of oscillation is 10. Time taken is 11 seconds. So we can calculate the time taken for one oscillation. That is 11 divided by 10, that is 1.1 second. So like that we can repeat the experiment by changing the length. So we can change 20 centimeter, 30 centimeter, 40 centimeter. Then we have to oscillate from one oscillation means, so we can hold this bob here and just release and it will go other end and come. How to find out the time period of a simple pendulum? So we have to hold this bob in one side and leave it. We have to leave that time. We have to start the stopwatch. So you can count totally 10 oscillation. So we can start 1, 2, 3, start. So now I got 10 seconds. 10 seconds means time taken for 10 oscillation. So time taken for one oscillation is called time period of a simple pendulum. So here the time taken for one oscillation is nearly 1 second. 10 divided by 10. So like that we can calculate the time period of a simple pendulum. So how to repeat this experiment means, this length of the simple pendulum we have to change from 20 centimeter, 30, 40, 50, like that we can repeat. So that time the time taken will be more. So the length of the simple pendulum is directly proportional to the time period. So when we take more length, time period will be more. That means we can understand what are the factors depends upon the time period of a simple pendulum. Length is the one of the factor. If the length is more, time taken will be more. Then when we change the mass of the bob, so when we change the mass of the bob, it will not affect the time period of a simple pendulum. Time period of a simple pendulum is depends upon the length of the simple pendulum. What do you mean by length of the simple pendulum? It is the distance between the center of the bob to the other end of the string, or the string supported in the rigid point, that is called length of the simple pendulum. So here we can measure the distance between the center of the bob to the other end of the thread. So like that we can measure the length of the simple pendulum. In higher class you will study using this simple pendulum experiment, we can calculate the acceleration due to gravity of earth. You know what is the acceleration due to gravity of earth? That is 9.8 meter per second square. So that value we can calculate using simple pendulum experiment that you will study in higher class. Okay, today we discussed some of the activities in chapter light chapter. So we can study the theory part once more. So here you can see the reflection of light. So here main part is incident ray, normal and reflected ray. So the change in direction of a ray of light when it strikes a surface without passing through, it is known as reflection of light. So when light ray strikes on a smooth surface, it will reflect back. That is called reflection of light. The terms are incident ray. Incident ray means light ray comes from the source of light. Then normal means 90-degree line with the smooth surface, and the reflected ray means the light ray going away from the smooth surface. So here you can see two angles, that is angle of incidence and angle of reflection. Angle of incidence is angle between normal and incident ray. Angle of reflection is the angle between reflected ray and normal. So already we studied in light chapter, so we can revise once more. Then incident ray, reflected ray. So definitions we studied: angle of incidence, angle of reflection, normal. So these are the different terms related with reflection of light in a plane mirror. Incident ray means a ray of light striking a surface. Reflected ray, you can read that one, a ray of light that has been reflected after striking a surface. Angle of incidence, angle between incident ray and normal. Angle of reflection, angle between reflected ray and normal. What do you mean by normal? The line drawn at a right angle to the surface of the point where the ray strike the surface. So incident ray strike the surface of a plane mirror. From that point we have to draw perpendicular or 90-degree line, that is called normal. Then here we can easily understand how to draw the reflection of light, reflection of experiment to illustrate the law of reflection. So here experiment, here we have to take one A4 size sheet paper. So we need ruler, plane mirror, pencil and ray of light or ray box. From the ray box we will get ray of light or laser light we can use. So first this is the mirror. So mirror, and first draw a line AB on piece of paper. AB is represented by plane mirror. Then second point, mark M, the midpoint of AB. In the middle part of the mirror, mark the point M. Then draw MN, the line perpendicular to AB at M, or we can say it is normal. We have to draw normal 90-degree line with the plane mirror. So MN is the normal or 90-degree line. Then draw OM, the line making. Then we have to draw OM, so with a certain angle. So say 45-degree angle. With this normal we can measure, with the protractor we can make one line, that is OM, that is the angle of incidence is 45-degree. After that what we have to do? We have to place one plane mirror perpendicular to the line AB. Then using a laser light or a ray of light from the ray box, place it and pass through this incident ray of light. One ray, that is incident ray of light, passes through 45-degree. Already we drawn one line that is equal to 45-degree or angle of incidence is 40-degree. Then place one ray of light or ray box or laser light and pass through this line. Then the ray of light strike the mirror and reflect. So through this way it will reflect. So we can see the image. Reflected ray we can see the A4 size sheet paper. So we can draw line MIM, that means image or reflected ray. Then we can measure the angle between, this angle we can measure, or angle of reflection we can measure. So there we will get this angle must be 45-degree. That means angle of incidence must be equal to angle of reflection. The next one is dispersion of light. Dispersion of light, that also, so there is a glass prism. So when we look through, when white light or sunlight is component of 7 colors. When white light passed through a glass prism, So we can see 7 colors or rainbow colors. So 7 colors are VIBGYOR: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. So you may not see now, I can see the different colors when we look through the glass prism. When white light passed through the glass prism, we can see clearly, we can see 7 colors. So this process is the splitting of white light into its constituent colors are called dispersion of light. This is the diagram of dispersion of light. So white light passed through a glass prism. From here it will split and 7 colors will get on a screen. So the colors are violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. So you can remember the word VIBGYOR: violet the first and red is the last. VIBGYOR is the color. The next one is Newton disk. So if there is a cardboard disk, we can make 7 segment and we can paste 7 colors. This VIBGYOR colors we can paste. Then when we rotate the Newton's disk very fast, when we rotate the disk very fast, this we cannot see the 7 colors. It looks like the disk, Newton's disk looks like a white color. So that is here what process is taking place in a Newton disk. So here this is called, what is the causes of observing this 7 colors into white color? That is called persistence of vision. Persistence of vision means when it is not rotating, we can see 7 colors. When it rotates fast, what will happen means we can see these 7 colors, and this light from the colors passed through our eyes and reaches our retina. Then our from the retina, these nerves send the image to the brain. So there we can see all the colors. 1/16th of the second of each color will be in the brain. So it will take 1/16th of the second. So when it rotates very fast, so all the colors will be in the brain. Then from there the eyes will get the signal or image or commands will get, so that we can see only the white color, because when it rotates very fast, all the colors will be stored in our brain, and all the colors together stored in the brain, so it looks like a white color. So all the colors together is called white color. So or another way we can say, when 7 colors is again passed through the another prism, 7 colors passed through it, then again we will get a white color. So this is Newton disk. Newton disk is the a cardboard disk make into 7 segment and paste 7 colors, then it rotate very fast, then we can see only one color. We can see the color of the disk will be white color. So then what is the why we can see only one color? You remember the word because of the persistence of vision. So that is the process, persistence of vision. So in our brain we can see each color is 1/16th of the second. After that only another color we can see. 1/16th of the second we can see only one color. So another color again 1/16th second. So when it rotates, all the colors together we can see. So that is why we looks like a white color. So this is the experiment of image formation of a convex lens. So there bulb is the object and convex lens, and this is the screen. So here by taking the objective distance 40, 35, 30, 25, 20, 18. So, image distance will change. Then we can find out 1 by u, 1 by v, 1 by u plus 1 by v, that is called 1 by f. Then by taking the reciprocal, we will get the focal length of the given lens. So, this is the experiment. So, this focal length, everything you will find out in higher class. So, just remember the properties of image formed in a convex lens. So, already we discussed, it is a inverted image, it is a real image. The size of the image changes according to the distance between object and the lens. This is the simple pendulum experiment. So, this is the bob or one mass. It is connected with a string and supported in a this string is supported in a rigid support. Then it oscillates. So, pull it to one side and leave it. So, it will from here, if we leave the bob, it will reach other side, again it will come back the same position, then we can count 1. So, like that we can repeat 10 or 20 times. So, total time will be getting, from the total time we can find out time taken for one oscillation, that is called time period of a simple pendulum. Then this heat chapter already we studied some of the experiment. So, here heat chapter about conduction, this is another chapter, heat chapter. So, how to find out the different metals have different conductivity. So, here 3 metals are there, suppose iron, aluminum, so copper, whatever may be, 3 metal rods are there. The end of the 3 rods are, 3 metals are in same size and same length. Then all the 3 metal rods are heated. The other end of the metal rods are pasted some wax. Then we can observe which wax is melted first. So, that is depends upon the conductivity. We can say if the conductivity is high, so very good conductor, then the wax pasted in the good conductor melt first. Then some metals are not that much good conductor, that wax will be melting the last. So, by melting the wax we can compare the conductivity of the metals. So, different metals have different conductivity. The next one is a convection. This is the experiment. This one also we can do in the school. So, here we have to take convection is the process of heat transferred in liquid and gas. So, here you can see. So, here when we heat this liquid, there is a little we have to add 1 drop of or 1 piece of potassium permanganate crystal. Potassium permanganate crystal is a colored one. So, we can see the movement of water particle. So, because of this color, otherwise clear water means no color, we cannot see the movement of the or convection current taking place. Convection current is taking place when we heat the liquid or gas. So, we can using one potassium permanganate crystal, then we have to heat it slowly. So, what will happen means the heated molecule rises. The density of the heated molecules decreases. So, that molecule, that water molecule rises, and cold molecules have high density and that will sink. In that way, convection current takes place in liquid and gas. So, we can see the movement of liquid particles. Heated molecules only rises or move upwards. Then cold molecules, what will happen? That will sink or move downwards. So, after some time what will happen? All the molecules will be heated. So, convection current occurred. Convection current means heated particles move upward, cold molecule move downward. or in one word we can say heated molecule rises, cold molecule sink. This process is called convection current. Due to convection current, after some time the whole liquid will be heated. So, the heat transferred through liquid and gases takes place in convection process. Then what are the properties of black, white and silver? So, we can say from this chart we can say reflector. Black is a worst reflector because black is a good absorber, best absorber. Then white and silver together we can say it is a best reflector, silver and white, and worst reflector is which one? Black and silver is a good absorber, best absorber. So, you can from this chart we can say which one is the best reflector and which one is the best absorber. So, we can say best reflector is white and silver and best absorber is black. Then comparing absorbers, heat absorber, how to comparison of heat absorber. Here one black surface can and silver, shiny silver surface. So, here you can see comparing absorbers. Put water in two cans, one is painted with black color and another is painted with silver color. Cover the both cans and put thermometer to the each can and keep both cans into direct sunlight for some time. So, you can say here we have to take two same size can, one is black surface, one is silver or white. Take same amount of water and cover the can and insert to thermometer and put it on a sunlight. Then after some time it is found that the temperature of black color can higher than silver color can. This means black color is good absorber of heat. Here you can see, take same amount of water in both black can and white can or shiny silver surface, then keep it in a sunlight and after some time we can observe the temperature. So, the temperature of the black can is higher than temperature of the white can. That means from this activity we can conclude black surface absorb more heat energy. Then emitters, another activity emitters. So, here same experiment, one black surface can and shiny silver surface can. So, here you can see, put hot water into two cans, cover both the cans and put thermometer into each can, keep both cans where there were no sunlight. So, here we have to take hot water in both cans. Hot water we have to take, say 60 degree hot water in both the cans. Only one difference is there. One can's outer surface is covered with black, other can is painted with white. Then we have to take say around 60 degree Celsius hot water in both the cans. Then keep this both the cans in inside the room or in a shadow. After some times we can check the temperature of both cans. That means that time we can observe the temperature of the black can is less and temperature of the shiny or white surface can is higher. That means what we can observe, so more heat is emitted. More heat is emitted. Emitted means goes out from the black can. That is why temperature of the black can is less than temperature of the white can. So here we can say what about the which surface or which color emit more heat energy. Black color emit more heat energy than white or silver colored surface. So today we discussed some of the experiment, and we did so many experiment, and we discussed those experiments. So again so many experiments are there. So again we will try to do some more experiment in the next class. So you can study this experiment, and you can understand the content or theory of this experiment. If you have any doubt, you can contact me through my WhatsApp number. Thank you very much.